Morning, friends. Just a quick one today. I wanted to talk about meaning versus impact, or impact versus meaning. You can work in a big company and have a lot of impact on the company and the people who use it. And I think this is it's most apparent if you work in tech. So I used to work in a big tech company, I'll say, and you can in those companies you can make a small change, and it's something that will affect sometimes millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of people depending on your company. And that's, I mean, historically absolutely nuts. That's like, if you think about it, if you have that many people who are using the software that you wrote, I mean, you could argue it's not real, but people are using it, it's driving some value. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. So the impact is there, but what about meaning? So the reason I'm thinking about this is that this was just over a year ago. I was talking to my friend's uncle, who's a counselor, and he was just telling us about what it's like to be a counselor. I was half drunk, asking him a lot of questions because I was interested. But I remember one thing he told me was that I think there was a couple who he counseled, and he was like a public counselor, by the way, not like a private one. So he worked for the council. Um, and when I say counselor, I mean like someone who counsels people, who helps people with their problems. And yeah, he got this couple in, and he helped them with their marriage, I think. I actually don't remember what he said, but all I remember is that he made a big difference in their life. And a few years later, they had a son, and they being attacked by magpies. Interesting. Yeah, so a few years later, they got back in touch with him and messaged him and said that um, they were just really grateful for the help that he gave them, and they had a son at that point, and they were just yeah, they said basically they like he changed their lives, or like he had a big impact on their lives, you could say. So again, impact, but that impact had a lot of meaning for him. So obviously, this is a story that he's telling us, and it's something. Yeah, it's something. He only impacted two people in that case, but it delivered a lot of meaning. Whereas if you work in big tech, or in tech in general, or even, I mean, I'm sure this is outside of tech as well. If you work in like any big company, if you're making a lot of money, you're doing well, you're making things or changes or doing stuff that affects a lot of people, but a lot of the time the meaning is not there. And for me, it definitely wasn't. I feel like, I mean, if you want me to be honest, I feel like in many ways I contributed to the world being a worse place than a better place. And I think a lot of tech, not being too cynical, but a lot of tech nowadays, especially, I don't think it's making the world a better place. I think it, in many ways, makes it worse, or at best is neutral. But I think that's a separate topic. But I think that what was lacking for me is meaning. So I had huge impact, but the meaning was not there. And I just wanted to articulate this impact versus meaning. I think it's a useful thing to think about in life. So you can have a huge impact, but if it doesn't give you meaning, it just feels like something is missing. And I think that was definitely the case for me, and I could never articulate this properly until giving it some proper thought. But my friend's uncle, he you could argue impacted few people, but had high meaning. And I think I think that ultimately delivers more happiness than the other way around. I think it's more in tune with how humans, like what humans, I guess, need, or how we evolved to function. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Hope that's useful. Bye.